Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a video that I'm definitely a little bit late to the party on. However, it's something that I've had some people ask me about, and one of my close friends from the Air Force asked me about it, so I figured I should go ahead and do a video on my thoughts on the topic. So today's video is going to be Glock 19 versus Glock 26. Now, you might be able to tell which one I carry more just based on how these two are set up, but nonetheless, we're going to do my best. I'm going to do my best to try to give you my thoughts between these two guns. And if you're trying to just pick one, especially as like your first carry gun or your first gun in general, hopefully I can give you some idea of which one is maybe better suited for your needs. Now in this video I'm going to be talking about shootability, accuracy, reliability, concealability, and just kind of those intangibles, I guess, that I'm going to try to do my best to articulate to you guys, again, to hopefully give you the information you need to make a decision on these two guns. Now, first, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just run down the features of these two guns, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the Glock 19 because, honestly, they're going to be so similar, but might as well just start with the Glock 19. Now, unfortunately, these are not going to be configured identically. This is definitely not how it comes configured from Glock. However, we should still be able to give you a rough idea of the features of this gun. And I guess really quick, things that I've changed. I've changed the sights here. These are the Ameriglo iDot Pros. I have a dedicated review on these. They're definitely one of my favorites as far as defensive use. I've used these in several classes and I really like them. I have a Faxon Firearms threaded match barrel in here, which has been serving me really well, as you'll see. And then right now I have the Olight PL Mini down here on the accessory rail. And that's one of the things, the big things that you're going to notice different between the Glock 19 and the Glock 26. So here, you can see that there is a little accessory rail down here, which is going to be conspicuously or inconspicuously, however you view it, absent on the Glock 26. So that's one of the biggest differences. And then in both of these guns, I have OC custom triggers installed, and then they both have a little bit of grip tape up here, which may sound weird to people. However, if you're doing single-handed manipulation, this makes it really easy to be able to just, with pressure, be able to cycle the slide on these to do single-handed manipulations, lock the slide back, etc. And then they are both Gen 4s, if I didn't already mention that. So while this one has the stock texturing, the Glock 26, as you'll see momentarily, is stippled. So let's go ahead and switch to that one. So here we have my Gen 4 Glock 26. Pretty much everything is exactly the same as the Glock 19, except we are shorter from the back to front, shorter from top to bottom, and we don't have an accessory rail. Now this one still has the Glock factory sights installed up here on the top, but still OC custom triggers, and I have stippled the grip on this one, and I'll probably touch on that more towards the end of the video as to why I did it on this one and not my Glock 19. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and cover in this video is the concealability between these two guns, because I know that a lot of people who are considering these two are considering them for concealed carry, and they want to know what kind of difference it makes. Now, this is only going to be from my point of view because I am my own size and I'm probably not your size, but hopefully this will give you some food for thought for making your own decision. So obviously one of the big things that people are going to be considering when it comes to the Glock 19 versus the Glock 26 is concealability. So what I did is I brought out 3 different holsters. 2 of them are intended to be like appendix holsters, and then 1 4 o'clock kind of hybrid holster. This is the Galco King Tuck, by the way. NSR Tactical C1, I believe. And then this one, I believe it's C squared. I've tried getting in touch with this guy to find out more about these holsters because I actually got this one secondhand. Really like it, but I don't know how to tell you to get one because it's really hard to get in touch with that guy. Anyway, but this is the holster that I typically carry when I'm carrying with a light, without a light, and then with this King Tuck. Now, the great thing is about these two guns is because the dimensions are almost the same as far as the actual core of the gun, Glock 26 and Glock 19 will work in all of these holsters. So what I'm going to do is just show you how well they conceal on me. Now I'm 6'2", on the wrong side of 230 pounds right now, so just take that into consideration. And I'm also wearing kind of what I would normally wear. I intentionally wore a more form-fitting shirt, because a lot of times I'll see people doing tests with these where they're wearing a shirt so baggy they could probably conceal a shotgun, and to me that doesn't do anyone any favors. This will be a little bit more representative of what type of concealability you can probably expect with these holsters. All right, so right now I have that C-squared Appendix holster, light-bearing holster with my Glock 19. I have a mag inserted, and I have also a backup mag over here. So this is from the front, from the right side, and from the left side. Now, the nice thing about Appendix holsters is if I turn around, there's really no indication of a holster. And typically, more people know about 4 o'clock carry, so people are typically going to be looking in this region. That's one of the reasons I like Appendix carry. However, when we switch to the Galco, obviously you'll probably see a little bit of a different view from behind. So again, from the front here, I'll just do a full turnaround. And again, full size, well, compact, technically, Glock 19 right here. All right, so now we have, again, the same C-squared holster, but with the Glock 26, and I have a Glock 26 mag over here. So again, I'm just gonna do a full turnaround here so you can get an idea of the difference in concealability between these two holsters. All right, and now a side by side. All right, so now I have the Galco King Tuck on. It has been years since I've worn this holster, so I've kind of forgotten how it feels. But I got it at approximately the 4 o'clock position back here. So again, I'll do a little turnaround, and I've also ditched the mag pouch just because if I don't have a gun balancing out up here, I'm probably also not going to have a mag pouch to balance out up here. So again, we'll just do a quick turnaround, and you can see what it looks like with the Galco King Tuck. Let's try the Glock 26. All right, so now we have the Glock 26 back here in the Galco King Tuck. Again, no backup mag up here at all. So let's go ahead and do, again, a quick turnaround so you can see the difference. And now side by side. Okay, so the NSR Tactical holster looked pretty much identical to the C-squared, so I'm not going to take time to show that one separately. So for grins and giggles, since I had this NSR Tactical one set up for left-hand carry anyway, let's just show what it would be like with both of them in case you wanted the best of both worlds. So just do a quick turnaround here. All right, there you go. So right now I want to go ahead and talk about the accuracy of these two guns. Now, I'm just shooting reloads. However, the reloads I shoot seem to shoot pretty consistently, thankfully. So all these groups you're going to see are 10-round groups out of the Glock 19 and Glock 26. Now, the first group I shot with the Glock 19 was down here at the bottom, and this one you could ignore. This one was shot up here. All right, sorry about that. I went ahead and adjusted my settings so you can see these holes better. So this one right here actually is from when I was doing just some fun shooting up here. This was my first 10-shot group for my Glock 19. These are all shot at 7 yards. Not a terrible group, but not anything to write home about either. But that was also my first group of the day, so take that into consideration. Then I switched to my Glock 26 and shot this group right here. So all 10 rounds are in just over an inch, and these were all shot standing. Now, I didn't have a downrange camera on for this one because I didn't think I was going to need them. However, that group was so good, I was like, well, some people might not believe me, which I guess is tough cookies. No one's going to believe that. Well, damn it. So I went ahead, put a downrange camera on, and then I shot this group with my Glock 19. Again, 10 rounds there. we're looking at, again, actually, yeah, still about 1.25 inches center to center on that 10-shot group. So I was able to close it back down. Then I decided to switch back to my Glock 26 and get a recorded group, and then it just went to hell and strung it out really bad. But I also noticed I was kind of going a little quicker in that one. So if you take your time with the Glock 26, you can be definitely just as accurate as I can be with the Glock 19. And the Glock 19, just FYI, has a Faxon Firearms threaded match barrel, which has been running really well for me. And then my Glock 26 just has the regular Glock factory barrel. If I'd thought about it a little bit more, I probably would have brought my Glock factory barrel for my 19. But, you know, I think this is a little bit more representative test of my guns because that's how I carry that gun. And I might as well get time training with how I carry. So to hopefully test out one of the aspects of shootability, what I'm going to be doing now is drawing from concealment from my regular position and firing at a B-27 silhouette style target. And I have a camera on the target downrange, which is still at about 7 yards. And I'm just going to draw and fire one round as fast as I can. And I'm going to try to keep all these shots within the 9 ring. So we'll see if there's an appreciable difference between drawing with the 19 versus drawing with the 26. And you know what? Just to see if I have my shot timer app, I don't. So I'm just going to have to do the best I can to approximate the times in editing. So you guys will know better than me by the end of this test if there's an appreciable difference, just because I won't know until I get in the editing base. So again, I'm just going to take 5 shots, shooting one at a time, drawing and firing into hopefully the 9 zone on the target downrange. Just got to double check that my camera downrange is recording because that would suck. All right, we're recording, so we're all good to go. All right. All right, so all those are definitely within the 9 ring, almost within that 10 ring there. So let me go ahead and grab the Glock 26 and we'll try the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and just use the same holster as last time, just to hopefully keep everything as fair as possible, and I can still draw from this holster with this gun, no problem. Actually, let me go ahead and paste over those hits so we can tell the difference. I'll paste it up. Let's go ahead and try this again with the Glock 26. Ooh, okay. Weight's a lot different, so try to fix it this next one. All right. Well, kept them all in the 9 ring, thankfully, but it's a little bit more open. So let's go ahead, bring that target back here, and we'll talk about it. Okay, so this is the target we had at 7 yards. Now the ones that are pasted over are the Glock 19 shots, and then these ones that you can still see are from the Glock 26. Now I can just say right now, after going back to back, you can tell that I have a lot more practice with the Glock 19 because all those shots are a little bit tighter. Timing didn't feel too significantly different to me. Some felt a little faster, some felt a little slower for both guns. But we kept them all in the 9 ring, which was my goal. However, with the Glock 19, I kept them all in the 10 ring, whereas I had at least one playing very dangerous here with the edge of the 9 ring. Totally subjectively speaking right now, I noticed that with the Glock 26, because it's a little bit smaller to grab onto, even as I was bringing my support hand in there, it was a little harder to instinctively index on target. That said, we still didn't do a terrible job. Again, if I was taking my time, as you saw in the accuracy, we can still do it with the Glock 26. But for me, I think this is where the vast majority of my training is showing off of that Glock 19, just being a little bit more familiar with that weight and that feel to get those shots a little bit tighter in that quick time. One of the things that I want to talk about is just the way they feel in hand Now, there's not an enormous difference between these two guns. Again, from basically here to about here, they feel completely identical to the point where they fit in both of those same holsters, assuming that you have like an open-end holster down here, especially with like a threaded barrel. They feel very, very similar. The biggest difference is with the Glock 26, some people, like myself, you can't quite get your pinky around the bottom. So if you look here, my pinky can just kind of float around here in no man's land, and can't really get that on the gun. Now, to me, that's not a huge issue. That's not something that is a deal breaker for me. I still have no problem shooting it like this. And honestly, that's kind of one of the reasons I stippled it, is just because there is less surface area here. I wanted to make sure the little surface area that was there really, really locks into my hand. And it seems to have helped. Honestly, I don't think it's a requirement. I think the Gen 4 and Gen 5 texturing, for that matter, is good enough that you don't have to stipple it. But I did because I wanted to. I know that answer won't be good enough for everyone, but you know, whatever. And one thing I should say between both of these, I did undercut the trigger guard here, and I have tutorial videos on how to do that. I have tutorial videos on stippling too, by the way. Because as far as shootability on these, ergonomically they're not perfect. There's usually a ledge like right here that digs into your finger as you're shooting, and it gets really annoying. So by rounding that out, it just makes it a little bit more shootable. But as far as shooting in comparison to the Glock 19, it's gonna have a little bit more felt recoil because you don't have the same weight fighting against that recoil as you do with the Glock 19. But really the difference is pretty negligible. You can still be fast, you can still be accurate. Bugs are eating me alive right now. You can still be fast, you can still be accurate with these guns, whether you go with the Glock 26 or the Glock 19. Now that said, if we're just going for pure shootability, the Glock 19 is going to give you a slight edge, but again, they're both going to be shootable guns, and especially if you train and you practice and you use proper technique, you're not going to have any problem shooting either of these guns. Now, one thing I want to mention when it comes to the lack of ability to get pinky on down here, if you're using the flush fit mags, then yes, definitely. However, a lot of people do choose to get those like +2 extensions, which gives you something to really get that bottom finger on. So again, that kind of eliminates that problem. Also, you can get like the 15-round Glock 19 mags, which again is going to give you something to grab onto down there. But you're really getting rid of that little advantage you get as far as concealability by making the grip length a little bit longer, since grip length is really where a lot of the concealability comes from. And just by way of comparison with the Glock 19 here, I have a full firing grip and all my fingers are fully on this grip without any problem whatsoever. One of the most important things when it comes to any handgun, especially when you're going to be using for personal protection, is reliability. And I can honestly say between both of these, the 19 and the 26, really all my Glocks for that matter, they have been absolutely reliable. I have zero hesitation trusting my life to either of these handguns, just because time and time again they have proven themselves to just be inherently reliable, which is no surprise for a Glock. That's just kind of their reputation, and they've earned that reputation. One other thing I want to address between these two guns is the difference in terminal ballistics. Now, you are giving up a little bit of velocity when you drop down to the Glock 26, obviously with a slightly shorter barrel. However, in my opinion, if you're using good quality defensive ammo like I typically carry with Federal HSTs, I don't think that that difference is really worth discussing, because when it comes to pistol calibers, all pistol calibers are underpowered, just flat out across the board. Unless you're getting into some of those super big, wheel gun calibers, they're all going to be underpowered. So the most important thing when it comes to handguns is shot placement. That's one of the things I like about 9mm. Typically, I can carry more rounds than a gun of the same size in 40 or 45. And because of the lower recoil, I can get those faster follow-up shots. So if I don't get it in a vital area my first shot, I can get it with one of my successive shots after that. So shot placement is super, super huge, and that's why I'm really happy to see small groups like the ones I shot earlier. Yeah, I had some bigger groups, but I also had some small groups. So I don't think that the difference in terminal ballistics that you're going to get with a slightly shorter barrel in the Glock 26 is really going to be that big of a difference for you as someone who is carrying, you know, everyday concealed. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is recap the tests we've already done and then go into the intangibles and kind of wrap up my thoughts about these guys. So when it comes to concealability, the Glock 26 definitely gets a slight edge just because of that shorter grip length. Now again, if you add longer mags or add those little pinky extensions, you do get rid of that advantage, at least some of it, if not all of it. However, both of these are still they're exactly the same thickness, so you're not saving a lot there when you drop down to the 26. So if you really want to conceal better, get a Glock 43 or Smith & Wesson Shield, something single stack. It's going to be even easier to conceal. But at least between these two, the Glock 26 definitely gets the edge in concealability, but not by that much. I'm also 6'2", 230-ish pounds, so take that into consideration when it comes to concealability. There may be a more pronounced difference on some more smaller statured people out there. So take that into consideration. As far as shootability, in my hands, I had a slight edge with the Glock 19. Still not bad with the Glock 26, and I definitely have a lot more training under my belt with the Glock 19 and a lot more practice under my belt with the Glock 19, so that could definitely contribute there. But they're both not bad, but the 19 gets a slight edge. Now when it comes to accuracy, in my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty much going to be equal. Glocks are not going to be match accurate no matter what you do, not in comparison to some of those more inherently accurate designs out there. But in practical shooting, as you saw from my targets earlier, I would give accuracy kind of equal marks between these two, because if you train enough with them, you can perform well enough with both of them. So equal marks between these two. And then obviously reliability is again going to be equal between these two because they're just both boringly reliable. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and start getting into those a little bit more kind of gray area differences, maybe not so gray area in some cases, but some of the differences where I really think you're going to notice one gun versus the other. Now, the biggest benefit, in my opinion, to the Glock 19 over the Glock 26 is the ease of attaching accessories such as a light. Again, like this Olight PL Mini, which again, still in testing. So far, so good, but you'll know more when I do my actual review on it. I like, when I can, to have a weapon-mounted light like this Olight PL Mini. In my own experience in training classes, like low light classes, active shooter classes, it's way easier to shoot a gun and use a light together when it's on the same gun than it is to have a handheld flashlight and a gun at the same time. Because typically if you're using a handheld light and a gun, you can only have one hand on the gun, which is not ideal. But if I do need to use a light and not point a gun at somebody, I always have a light in a pocket that I can use as a handheld light separate from my gun. If I have to have one or the other, I carry both if I can. Now there are options coming out that will allow you to mount a light to a Glock 26. However, those options are going to be much fewer and more far between. Whereas with these type of rail mounted lights, there's a lot of options, a lot of very affordable options. So you'll have a lot more to choose from with something like a Glock 26 or even a Glock 17 for that matter. But as far as the rest of the accessories, it's going to be pretty even between the two of them. All sights that work for a Glock 19 work for a Glock 26. All mags that work for a Glock 19 work for a Glock 26. Not necessarily the other way around, but anything 15 rounds or more will work in this. Anything 10 rounds or more will work in this. You can get threaded barrels for both. You can get holsters for both. And as you saw, usually, depending on how the holster is designed, if it works for a Glock 19, it'll work for a Glock 26. So again, other than weapon-mounted lights, it's gonna be pretty even between the two of these. Now, people will always bring up, oh, you get a longer sight radius with a Glock 19, but if you can see, I'm just gonna hold these where the sights are. You can tell it's really not that much different. You get a little bit longer with a Glock 19, but really not that much difference. So again, that's why I kind of gave them even marks when it comes to accuracy, because you're really not sacrificing much as far as sight radius goes going to the Glock 26. And because of all the compatibility between parts for both of these guns, I really think that between these two guns, just get one, whichever one you think you're slightly leaning toward more. And if you don't like it, pretty much all your accessories are going to carry over. Again, the only exception being, well, here, let me just demonstrate. So Glock 26 here, 10-round Glock magazine, fits flush just like that. We have a 15-round Glock magazine. It still works and will feed just fine. And then we have a 17-round Magpul mag. Again, fits in there, will run just fine. You can get the 33-round mags. I've run them through these and they run just fine. By contrast, we have the Glock 19 here, 10-round Glock mag. Falls right back out. 15-round mag obviously fits flush. And then the 17-round mag will work just fine. Anything, again, over 15 rounds is going to work through these Glock 19s, again, including those 33-round magazines. So again, to sum up, if I were you, I would probably buy the Glock 19 first, and then if it ends up not working out for you, it's very, very easy to find someone wanting to buy a Glock 19, especially one used, because typically they're going to save some money that way. And then you can just go ahead and buy a Glock 26. Again, all the accessories are going to carry over, so you're really not losing out. Again, even if you buy aftermarket sights like this one, you can take them off, put the original sights back on, and when you get your Glock 26, just swap the sights back out because they are compatible. The only thing that's not going to be compatible is that weapon-mounted light. So I really think, again, if I were you, go with the Glock 19. If it doesn't work out, go with the Glock 26. That said, if you've been kind of leaning towards the Glock 26 and you were just watching this video to try to get that confirmation bias to hopefully have me tell you to buy a Glock 26, buy the Glock 26. Again, if you don't like it, you can sell it. Any 9mm Glock is going to sell well in the used market, and then buy a Glock 19. Or, as I did, buy both, and then, you know, you're totally squared away there. So hopefully I was able to answer some questions for you. I was hopefully able to give you some good talking points of the differences between these two, both tangibles and intangibles. So if I didn't answer the specific question you were looking for, go ahead and throw a comment down below. Or the easiest way to get in touch with me, honestly, is to send me a message on Patreon. I make it a point to respond to every single message I get from my patrons, whereas I can't always say the same thing about YouTube. YouTube, there's too much there for me to go through. I can't respond to everyone. So again, if you want, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I'll try to get back to you, but you know, it is what it is. I am also uploading to Full 30 now, so definitely check that out. At very least, I would recommend subscribing over there. Even if you don't watch videos over there, I get it. It's not super easy to do. However, YouTube has demonstrated that they're willing to take down gun channels like mine. They've taken down one of my videos already, so at least if something happens, by being a subscriber on Full 30, you'll be able to at least follow what's going on, even if you don't actually watch videos there normally. And then again, I do have a Patreon page, and the people supporting me over there really go a long way in making videos like this one happen. So I'll get off my soapbox on that one, but I definitely recommend checking it out. Links will be below to all those. So anyway, with all that said, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.